Thanks for tuning into Electric Bike Journal. In this video, we are going to review the Vvolt Alpha II. We reviewed the Alpha 1 in the past, and it was one of our choices for one of our favorite bikes of the year at the time. We really liked its simplistic design and the smooth ride it gave us, so we really did enjoy riding that bike. With the Alpha 2, we see some of the same features that we liked about its predecessor, so let's see what the Alpha 2 has compared to its predecessor, the Alpha 1. The Vvolt Alpha 2 is a Class 2 electric bike with 5 different levels of pedal assist as well as a thumb throttle on there. You can also remove that thumb throttle to make this a Class 1 e-bike. It has a 350 watt rear hub motor by Ananda that is custom tuned for Vvolt themselves. Standard with the bike is a 374 watt-hour integrated battery, but there is also an option to get a long-range 490 watt-hour battery. The batteries and the charger are both UL certified. The onboard display is centered on the bars to easily see the essential information like speed and pedal assist level, and the thumb controller is on the left-hand side of the bars. The thumb throttle on the right is custom tuned to provide 80% of power to get you going off the line. The wheels are 27.5-inch wheels and have 2.4-inch puncture-resistant tires on there with reflective sidewalls. There are also reflective graphics on the bike to help you be seen when you're out on the road. The drivetrain is a single-speed Gates belt drive system with a 50-tooth sprocket and a 22-tooth rear cog. The bars have a back swept bend to them to give you a little bit more of an upright seated position, and there are ergonomic grips on those bars. The brakes are Shimano MT200 hydraulic brakes, front and rear. For lighting, there is an integrated front light and a rear Vvolt multi-vision light, which helps give you 360 degrees of visibility. The Alpha 2 comes in 2 different colors and 3 different sizes, and all of those sizes use that mid-step frame design. The bike weighs around 44 pounds and it has an estimated range with the standard battery between 20 and 40 miles. If you get that long range 490 watt-hour battery, you can get up to 60 miles of range. There are a variety of different accessories that you can get from Vvolt. On our bike here, we have the optional front and rear fender as well as a rear rack, and we are happy that we have the fenders on this bike because we are in that spring shoulder season here in Oregon, and I went through some mud and very happy I had those fenders so it's not all over me. The bike standard without those accessories is $1,899. There are a lot of things that we like about the Alpha 1 that apply to the Alpha 2. This bike still has that simple frame design. They did go with the mid-step on here, so the previous version had more of a high step on there, but we do like that they upgraded this bike for its purpose of pretty much riding around the city. We think is where it does best. With that mid-step frame, it is easy to get on and off that bike. So when you do get to a stop sign or a stoplight or something like that, you can just step forward and you're not worrying about hitting that top crossbar. It's also helpful when you're getting on the bike. If you are carrying a backpack or something, you don't have to lift your leg over the entire thing. You can just lift your leg just halfway over that frame. Makes it really easy to get on and off of this bike. As for riding the Alpha 2, this is a really comfortable bike to ride. With those back swept bars and the geometry that they have for this bike, you get a nice upright seated position. So when you are cruising around town, it's really just that comfortable upright seated position where you can see everything and no strain on your back or anything like that. I am 5'8", and this is a size medium large, and it fits me really well. I think there is definitely some room in there for someone taller than me to get on this medium large frame. If you're a little smaller than me, it might be a little better to get that small medium frame just to have so you have a little more seat post showing. I think that just looks better on a bike. I'm typically not a big fan of bars with a back sweep on them because I do like having a flatter bar and kind of a more forward riding position. But for this bike and its intended purpose of just cruising around town and being comfortable, I thought this was a good fit for the whole geometry of this bike and for riding around town. A big standout when riding the Alpha 2 is really just how quiet this bike is. With that custom tuned rear Ananda hub and a combination with that Gates belt drive, you really don't hear the motor or the bike at all. You can just focus on the riding around you and the noises of the city or wherever you are. Even in that pedal assist 5, when you are using the motor to its full potential, it's very quiet and it makes for a nice pleasant ride. You're not hearing any whizzing or whining from that motor. You do hear it a little bit, but compared to a lot of other bikes, this bike is very, very quiet. Even when you're using that thumb throttle, you don't hear the motor working too hard, and just gives for a very nice, pleasant riding experience overall. Another bonus of having this single speed belt drive is that it is relatively maintenance free and it will last you a long time. You're not gonna have to lube it up or add chain, which will also prevent you from getting a chain lube on your pants or your leg, which is something that if you're gonna be riding this a lot and you don't wanna have to think about it, is definitely an advantage. The gearing of the Alpha 2 is definitely geared more towards that city riding where you have relatively flat terrain and there are hills with not too steep of a grade. When I was riding this around the city, it felt pretty ideal for those stop and go situations. You do have that throttle to get you going, which is very helpful if you don't want to pedal too hard at the beginning, but once you get cruising around 10 to 15 miles per hour, this gives a nice cadence with the way that it is geared. When you do get to those higher speeds, closer to that 20 miles per hour, you are going to be spinning a lot, your legs are going to be moving, so your cadence is going to be higher, but not too high where it's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to be bouncing around in your seat. When I brought this bike home into the area that I live, which is much hillier than the city, this did feel like it was geared pretty heavy for that. It is hard to get the perfect gearing with a single speed, and you can't please everyone if you're just going to have one gear. On some of the steeper hills where the gradient was 9 degrees or higher, I did feel the need to have this in a higher pedal assist mode and get out of the saddle and kind of pedal as hard as I can. It felt like I was trying to sprint in my biggest gear on my road bike or something like that. So it can make it up those hills, but you're gonna be standing in the saddle and pedaling pretty hard. Being in those higher pedal assist levels of 4 and 5 did help when you are going up those hills. You're still gonna be using a lot of your own power, but over 10%, you're not really gonna be flying up those hills. When you do get going fast on this bike, when you do make it up to those top of those steep hills, on those steep downhills where you're reaching speeds over 25 miles per hour, which you can easily do, this bike is fairly efficient, just how it is, even without pedal assist. The brakes did a good job of stopping you and the bike handled really well. It didn't feel like it was too twitchy or anything like that, and having those hydraulic disc brakes front and rear did give you confidence that you're going to be able to stop when you need to stop. Overall, the Alpha 2 is a nice upgrade from the Alpha 1. You get great things like having an integrated headlight and that tail light to help with that visibility, and giving you that mid-step frame with those back swept bars really make this ideal for riding in the city. The Alpha 2 is also fairly light, coming in that mid 40-pound range, so if you need to carry it up some stairs or load it into your car or onto a bike rack, that is very manageable. If you want to lighten that load a little bit more, you can remove that integrated battery to save you a little bit of weight. For someone looking for a good-looking, simple, lightweight, relatively maintenance-free e-bike to ride around the city, the Alpha 2 is a great choice for you. When it came to riding around the city, it was a pleasure to cruise around on the Alpha 2. The single-speed belt drive is solid, and having those 5 levels of pedal assist, as well as that thumb throttle, it's kind of like you're having 5 different gears on your bike. So if you want to work a little more, you keep it in pedal assist 1. Want to work a little less, go all the way up to pedal assist 5. Don't want to work at all, use that throttle. If you do live in a hillier area where you're going to be riding in those situations where you have some gradients that are 9% plus, the Alpha 2 is geared on the heavier side for that. You can definitely do it, but know that you will be using a higher pedal assist level as well as more of your own power. For $1,899, you're hitting under that $2,000 mark. You are getting an awesome looking bike that rides really well and some nice componentry. We really do like this combo of that single speed belt drive with that Ananda rear hub to give you a nice quiet riding experience. Now let's take you on a little ride to show you what it's like riding the Alpha 2. Here we are on a ride on the Vvolt Alpha 2. Just gonna do a loop that I like to test the bikes on, and like most of the videos, I like to test this with the bike off. So right now, no pedal assist, cruising on a relatively flat road. Gonna turn to go up this tiny little hill, and bike off. It's taking some work to get up here, but this is geared fairly heavy for the hills, but I'm going 8 miles an hour on this slight incline with the bike off, so that is not too bad at all. But I'm gonna get to the stop sign here. It's got that nice mid step, so when I do lean forward, don't hit anything on the crossbar. And right there, just to get my way across that road, I use that throttle, get me going just to get my legs spinning. And now we're just cruising up in pedal assist 1, and you can't really hear it, but I do feel the assist. So going 10 miles an hour on that slight little incline, which is very helpful. But we're gonna do this little cut through some nice little trees here. And do like how this bike handles. I'm more of a, I guess, I like a bike with a flatter bar, leaning forward a little more, feels a little more aggressive, like I'm going faster in some way, but I don't think that was the intention of this bike, and it's more for just cruising around. So it's got these little back swept bars on here, and they do a good job of keeping you sitting upright and comfortable. So we'll cruise down this hill here. And with these 27.5-inch wheels and the 2.4-inch tires, they pick up speed pretty quick, which is great. So just cruising on that part, going over 24 miles an hour. So that's pretty good. But yeah, back to a slight incline, and pedal assist 1 cruising at 12 miles an hour. So it's not bad, and you're gonna get the most range when you're in pedal assist 1, and the most of a workout too. So we'll get this thing into 2, and when you get into 2, yeah, that's noticeable difference from 1. So being a single speed, you're gonna have to pedal your legs a little more to stay in these higher speeds, but at 15 miles an hour, I feel like I'm at a good cadence, a good comfortable cadence. So pedal assist 2, also helping us get up this little pitch right here as well. Still gotta do some work because I can't shift down and make it easier for us, but we can do it. And now that we're up that, we'll go into 3. And cruising in 3, much quicker on the flats here. So it's got that Ananda motor they tuned, and it's definitely one of the quieter motors out there. 350 watts, so not huge, but not too little either, enough to get you around. And in pedal assist 3 on this flat spot, going 18 miles an hour, so that's pretty good. My legs are spinning, can't see that, but got a relatively high cadence here. We'll click it into 4. We have 4. Now we're on a slight little incline, probably like 3-4%, so nothing crazy, but pedal assist 4 here, cruising at 17 miles an hour up this bit of a hill. And that is solid for a bike. And you know, the bike is lighter at 44 pounds, so it's not too heavy. But yeah, this last little pitch here, still cruising over 10, still 14 miles an hour, so not too bad in pedal assist 4. We'll get to this stop sign and continue on. But yeah, I like to use the thumb throttle, which uses 80% of the motor. That's just how they've got it to give you not all the power, but enough power to get you moving off the line, which is helpful. So I think this bike, around this speed right here, 15 miles an hour, the cadence feels the best. When you get higher, you're definitely comfortable, but you're gonna be spinning more. Like we just hit 20 and feel a little overspun, but just now that we're on a downhill, just stop pedaling and enjoy the ride. All right, for demonstration purposes, we'll just use the throttle from a stop here and see how quickly it can get us up to speed. There is a little bit of a downhill ahead of us, but that shouldn't affect us too much. Then it goes straight uphill. So here we go. This is just throttle only. You know, not the quickest throttle I've had, but with this help of this little downhill, easily got us to 20, and you know, that's solid if you're not wanting to pedal from a light. Yeah, you're gonna burn a few more watts on your battery, but you can take that if you need a break. But yeah, we'll cruise this. Let's put this in 5 now. So 5 helps us get up that little pitch right there pretty quickly, which is nice. Yeah, sitting upright like this is definitely comfortable, and the saddle feels comfortable. This is the size medium large. I'm 5'8", so fits me well. With the 3 different sizes, you have good options for all sorts of people. But yeah, in pedal assist 5, you can get up to that 20 mile per hour limit of this class 2 bike, or class 1 if you take this thumb throttle off. And now that we're just going over 20 miles an hour, it's not the best to pedal just the way it's geared, because it's trying to average out that single speed what's going to be the best overall. But you know, right now I'm pedaling and we're going 20, but I'm over the pedal assist, and yeah, I've got a high cadence. I'm sure I'm in the 90s cadenced, so that's up there. You know, not everyone's gonna want to pedal this fast all the time, but you also don't have to. It's good to just cruise around and feel your knees in the breeze. But this bike does roll well, so comfortable to cruise at these speeds of 20-ish miles an hour. Now we're going to head downhill. A little busy right now, so won't be able to maximize the speeds, but you know, easily getting up to 28 miles an hour and coming to a pretty quick stop from that speed. And these hydraulic disc brakes are very smooth, and they don't feel underpowered at all or overpowered to grab them and make you skid to a stop or anything, and very smooth and comfortable. And the bike also, it handles well, and you know, for just being a bike for under 20 miles an hour, when you do get up to that 30 mile per hour mark, no weird twitchiness or anything like that. Still comfortable. So yeah, if you need to go fast down a hill, you can do it on this bike. You know, not everyone has the chance to bomb hills, but it's good to see how the brakes are going to stop and how the bike handles. It doesn't feel scary or twitchy or anything like that. When riding this in a bit of a hillier area where I live, or I'm lucky to have these nice roads that have surrounded by trees, but also gives me a lot of hills, it does make it harder to get up the steep stuff. Definitely can do it, but I think this bike thrives in that flatter city environment. Like, I did a big day in Portland, around 20 miles that day, and it was awesome riding with someone who had a class 3 bike but never felt underpowered at all. And just the ability to have those 5 different pedal assist levels in that flatter terrain makes it feel like you have 5 different gears. So in that higher pedal assist range, feels like it's a lot easier to pedal, so you don't notice that it's just a single speed when you use all those gears. I think when you get to the big hills, that's when you notice that you are a bit overgeared, I would say, for the big hills. Yeah, from the stop sign, just a little incline with the bike with a throttle It's nice to use that to get going. But yeah, even, you know, right now on this little ride, we're not hitting the biggest hills, but there is a hill with 15% grade. I did take this on earlier, and I definitely want to stand out of the saddle just to get the hill over with and feel like I'm making some ground doing that. But yeah, overall, really fun bike. I think definitely great for that city urban living, especially with how light this is. You could carry it up to any apartment if you needed to. But yeah, handles well, looks good. Belt drive, low maintenance. I think Vvolt did a great job with the Alpha 2. Thank you for watching this review on the Alpha 2. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And as always, if you haven't already, please give our channel a subscribe. See you in the next one.